You're detaining me.
I'm not detaining you.
So you just said to me I'm not going anywhere at the minute.
Listen, where do you intend to go next? Because I'm just going to follow you, right?
That's no concern.
I'm just wondering what you're doing.
I'm just explaining to one of the civic enforcement officers I'm filming.
What are you filming?
Anything I can see from public.
Right, and is there a reason behind that?
It's for a story.
Right, okay. Can I take your details, please?
What would you like my details for?
Because obviously in the interests of public safety and everything like that, when somebody is out filming and having a look around public buildings,
right,
we have a duty of care
to
check you out.
What, a duty of care to whom?
To the general public.
I'm part of the general public?
Yes.
I don't have to give you my details then?
Right, I can just get other people.
Well, other people, I'm still not obliged to give you my details.
I'm asking because at
I'm
the
refusing.
moment, I don't know whether you are committing any criminal offences in this area.
I'm certainly not.
This gentleman is out filming and is pointing up, looking at all the cameras, and obviously in light of...
Identify the cameras up there?
In light of...
I'm not filming that. I'm filming up there. I was filming up there when this lady approached.
She moves straight into an interrogative tone from the very beginning. And even after Forced Awakenings clearly explains why he is recording, she treats his reason as something that must satisfy her personal approval. It does not lawful activity, does not require justification that meets an officer's standard of curiosity. She then pushes for his personal details under the claim of public safety and a supposed duty of care, which stretches the meaning of that concept beyond its limits. Duty of care does not grant open authority to collect names from anyone with a camera. It applies when there is a clear and identifiable risk, not when there is simple uncertainty. The most revealing moment comes when she admits she does not even know if any offense is being committed. If there is no known crime, then there are no grounds to demand personal details based on the idea that something might exist later.
There isn't an issue.
I'm just wondering why he's filming public buildings.
Yeah,
I'm perfectly entitled to film anything I can. Hang on, wait a minute. I'm perfectly entitled to film anything I can see from a public place, including council buildings that are owned by the public.
Okay, we have concerns about public safety.
And your concerns are?
We don't know who you are.
That's
and what
not a concern.
Links it is.
It isn't.
In the day and age that we are in.
Are you accusing me of being a terrorist?
I'm not accusing anybody of anything. But
do you have reasonable suspicion to believe that I'm up to anything other than?
I don't know what you're up to.
Go on to Google filming in public. It'll and even legislation.
Don't tell me what I need to do.
Right. Well, don't tell me that I need to give my details when I know that I don't.
I'd like you to move away from this area, please. Otherwise,
you need a section 60. You need to remove somebody from an area without probable cause. You need a section 60.
Well, I'm concerned for public safety and what you are doing in this area.
Well, I've told you what I'm doing in this area.
Well, you need to.
When the second officer arrives, the approach becomes more rigid instead of being reassessed. Between them, filming a council building is treated as something unusual, not because of any specific action, but because it does not match their expectations. That internal assumption begins to drive the entire interaction. Her focus returns again to identity, stating that she does not know who he is, as if that alone justifies collecting his details. It does not lack of recognition, is not a lawful basis for identification, and she then leans on a familiar reasoning about the current day and age hinting at terrorism, without connecting him to anything concrete. General threat levels do not transform ordinary behavior into valid ground for action, and that gap remains clear throughout the exchange.
The side of the road, that's all right.
You've obviously got nothing else better to do with your time, have you?
Well, that's not your concern. What I do with my time is nobody's concern but mine.
Fair enough.
Okay. Can I ask you to identify yourself? You haven't got any numbers on your pellets?
1,000.
1,000. And name?
Sarah Bainbridge.
And yours?
2629. You're also on body cam.
Yeah, that's fine. And you're based here?
Yes.
Yeah, excellent.
Well, I'm based out of Darlington.
Right, okay, excellent. Hello there.
Oh yeah, you're
Hello.
right.
This gentleman is filming. He's now refusing to give any details, and
I'm not obliged to.
I can't understand why he's out filming buildings, council buildings, refusing to give any details in light of the incidents that we're having around the area.
And those incidents, whatever they may be, no concern of mine, nothing to do with me.
But I don't know who you are, and I can't check you out.
Well, you don't need to.
Yes, I do, because I have a duty of care to the
I'll tell you
public.
what it is, right? It's anti-terrorism.
There's no terrorist threat at the moment.
But I don't know who you are.
What do you mean there's no terrorist threat? At the moment.
When he remarks that they must have something better to do, The focus clearly shifts away from public safety and interpersonal attitude. It shows the interaction has moved from assessment into reaction. Then she leans on reports of incidents in the area, as if crime happening nearby automatically places suspicion on anyone holding a camera. That is not how it works. A person does not become a suspect based on location alone. When the second officer finally frames it as anti-terrorism, it marks a clear escalation, taking a vague sense of discomfort and placing it under the most serious label available to justify continued pressure without a solid factual basis.
That at the moment, and nor has there been over the past 5 years, towards any public buildings.
That's a lie, because there was one yesterday actually.
Was there? Well, I wasn't aware of that.
Well,
where was
there
that?
you go.
So where
So
was
we
that?
don't know.
So here.
Yes, it was actually.
Right.
Yeah,
There's
one
To the council officers as well.
Right. That's nothing to do with me.
That's
no
why
concern of
you've
mine.
been
How do we know
Well,
that?
Well,
It's just
were
like asking your
they
details.
stood outside with a mobile phone?
Look, we're not getting into this.
Well-
I am now asking you to leave the area because I feel that you,
On what grounds?
because you are
No,
alarming the public.
No. Which section of the law? You give me the section of the law, I'll quite happily move.
You just need.
Beg your pardon? I'm just a
I never said one word.
you liar.
We're filming you as well.
That's fine. It's public.
Just stand
It's
here
perfectly
until you
okay.
move out of the
It's
way.
okay, perfectly okay to film in public, which is what I was explaining to your colleague.
You gave me your details, and I could
Right. So
be happy that there is nothing
my details,
untoward.
my details won't give you any other information.
I would like to check you out
Well-
so that I am happy that I can leave you unattended on
You-
the side
you
of
can't-
When Force Awakenings asks whether the person involved in that incident was even filming, they avoid the question immediately. There's no answer, no clarification. Just a quick shift away from something that exposes the weakness in their reasoning. Instead, she claims he is causing alarm to the public and says she wants his details so she can feel satisfied leaving him there. That is not an objective standard. It introduces personal comfort into her decision that should be based on clear legal grounds. Policing is not about managing an officer's feelings. It is about applying a law based on facts and evidence. And that distinction is lost in this moment.
You've got no actual reason other than curiosity as to why I'm filming to be stood here
I want
asking.
to know who you are
Well,
to
I
make
don't-
sure.
I don't have to identify myself, and you're well aware of that. I know the law just
Right,
as much
very
as you.
shortly, I will to prevent a breach of the peace.
You can't prevent a breach of the peace
can prevent
if
a breach
none
of
was
the
going to take place.
I
I'm not
have-
breaching anybody's peace.
I have colleagues and members of the council staff who were very concerned about why you were out here filming in light of the incidents
I'm
yesterday.
filming a story. I'm not filming in light of those incidents.
Well,
Those incidents
until
weren't
I
even
can-
known to me until
I
you made
can
them aware.
Prove or negate either way. All I want is your details to make sure that no members of the public are a threat
They're
by
not.
you. Well,
My details wouldn't give you any more information about that.
people tell me every day
Well,
how good they are.
I'm
and that
not
they
saying
are
I'm
no
not saying.
threat.
Hang on, I'm not saying I'm good. What I'm saying, I'm not denying either way.
Everybody says every time, all the time, with interactions with the police. It wasn't me.
That's because
I'm no threat.
That's because your interaction, instead of accepting what I'm doing is perfect.
She then shifts to the idea of preventing a breach of the peace even though there is no sign of violence, no confrontation, and no disorder developing. That power is not a blanket to cover situations where people simply feel uneasy. It is meant for imminent conflict, not imagined tension. Saying that colleagues and council staff are concerned does not raise the threshold. Either concern is not evidence. They are public servants, not private individuals. Protecting personal space and their discomfort does not turn lawful filming into a reason for intervention. She then adds that she cannot take his word because many people claim innocence, which is a broad assumption used to dismiss what is actually in front of her. You do not reject a clear explanation by default and replace it with suspicion without any supporting fact.
To cite laws that don't exist, say that,
Cited a law that doesn't
you
exist.
told me that you were going to move me. You can't move me without that section, without the powers under a section.
I have reasonable grounds to believe you.
If you're asking me to move,
Yes.
right, and you can state me a section of the law, I'll move quite happily. That's a perfectly reasonable request.
It's fine because we've got supervision
Do you
coming in.
understand what the current level of
If
threat at the moment?
right, if there has
I know
been,
the word evident means, I'm sure you do. You seem like an intelligent
if there
person.
has been a threat yesterday of some sort, then yes, I can understand.
Right. So
But
now
I,
you
but
understand.
I wasn't aware of that until you told me.
Right.
And
So now that's why we need your details.
well, you don't need my details.
Yes, we do.
So do you have the details whoever it was who you spoke to yesterday?
You know what's going to happen, right? I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. You're going to end up getting arrested.
For what?
Right? Listen, that.
For
We're
what?
speaking to a supervision at the moment, okay? Based on the current threat levels and the incident that happened
now
yesterday,
we'll get an
that
order out.
ended up getting seized, okay, under the Terrorism
She continues to insist that she has reasonable grounds, yet when he offers a simple test to name the legal section, and he will comply, there's nothing provided, no statute, no clear power, just silence. That pause reveals more than any explanation. Could the authority was solid, it would be easy to state clearly. Instead, it remains unspoken. Then the tone shifts again as the second officer loses patience and moves straight to threats of arrest and mentions seizing his camera under terrorism powers. That escalation is not based on new evidence. It is driven by frustration. You cannot close a legal gap by raising your voice or by reaching for the most serious powers available without a proper foundation.
Body cameras will also be made public knowledge to me, and I'll use them.
That's fine. I want to know.
I just
we wanna
can't
know
see
who
why
you
you're
are.
being
Well,
so obstructive.
I'm not being obstructive at all.
Yeah, but
I'm
you
not
are.
obliged. No, there's no obstruction because I'm not obliged by law to give you
Well, that's
unless
fine,
you
you can fight that in court then.
unless you
Yeah.
reasonably assume that I don't need to because it wouldn't go to court.
you're being
You'd be looking at a lawsuit.
You're being obstructive. I don't care.
I'm not being obstructive at all.
Okay.
Refusing to give my details when being asked is not an
Listen,
obstruction.
You've asked for our details, okay?
Because I'm, as a member of the public,
Yeah.
and you've been civil servant, you are legally obliged to give me those details upon request.
You've obviously got nothing else better to do.
Well, but that's my concern, not yours.
Yeah.
If I was stood on the other side of the road without a camera, you wouldn't have approached me. It's purely because I'm filming. Filming is a perfectly legal activity.
Because we don't know why you are filming.
But I've told you why I'm filming, for a story,
A story for what?
for YouTube, for my blog.
Right. So who are you? If
I
you're-
don't have to identify myself. And you're well aware of the law regarding identification, stop and search powers and...
Him to fight it in court is not a sign of confidence. It is bluster. It is a kind of response used when there is no solid justification. In the moment Force Awakenings is correct to point out that would not even reach that stage if the stop itself is flawed civil action exists for exactly that reason. The officer dismissing it with a careless response reveals everything. It shows ego stepping in where judgment should be. Policing decisions are not meant to depend on who is willing to take a risk. Then they attempt to reverse the situation by suggesting that because he asked for their details, he must provide his. That is not how it works. Officers are expecting under their own standards to identify themselves when requested, while members of the public are not under a blanket obligation to do the same. And that distinction remains clear throughout the encounter.
At the moment, my colleagues are on to senior officers so that we can have a power of stop and search to get your details.
Good luck with that. You're detaining me.
I'm not detaining you.
So you just said to me I'm not going anywhere at the minute.
Listen, where do you intend to go next? Because I'm just going to follow you, right?
That's no concern of yours.
Right, well listen, I'm just going to follow you because we need to speak to you about what you're doing.
You can follow me wherever you like,
that's fine then,
but
alright.
don't tell me that I'm not going anywhere
Alright.
because that's a threat of detainment unlawfully.
Right, listen.
Okay.
Would you like to come back round to the police station
I don't
while
need to.
we speak to you?
No, I don't need to.
You don't need
No.
to. Right, where are you going now?
I'm not telling you.
I'm going to follow you then, okay?
You follow me.
Okay.
This is harassment. Yeah, so anyway, I went in to see him and basically fobbed me off back to his offices most of the way. He did say that they would be doing some training over sort of data protection and dealing with photographers. Whether they did or not, I don't know. I didn't take it any further. I wasn't after them for money. It's not why I do this. It's just to show them as the bullies that they were, and hopefully they'll learn the lesson.
What stands out most is not just the initial stop, but a persistence that follows when clear authority is not immediately available. She does not pause to reassess. Instead, she begins searching for power that fits the outcome she already wants. Colleagues are brought in and senior officers are contacted, all in an effort to retrofit justification onto a demand for personal details. That is not how decisions are meant to be made. The proper process is to establish grounds first, and then act, not to decide on an action, and then look for something that might support it afterward. Then there is a continued following. Once Forced Awakenings disengages and walks away, an officer follows behind and questions where he is going, as if simply moving requires permission. Saying we might need to speak to you is not a legal basis. It is a placeholder. If there were a genuine need, it should already be clearly stated following someone after failing to establish. Grounds does not strengthen the position. It highlights the absence of it. The aftermath is where the broader meaning becomes clear. A complaint is submitted and the reported outcome includes training related to data protection. That detail is important because it shows a concern was not imagined. Something in the handling of personal information crossed a line internally. There's no dramatic conclusion, no major arrest, just a quiet correction that happens behind the scenes.